Welcome friends, myself Professor S.R. Sakne, Assistant Professor of Agronomy at Sadguru College of Agriculture, Mirzgaon. Today we will discuss about the new chapter, that is lecture number 4, definition of wind, then types of wind, the daily and seasonal variation of wind speed, then cyclone, anticyclone, land breeze and the sea breeze. So today we will in detail discuss about the wind. So firstly we will discuss about the definitions of the wind. So wind is defined as the air in horizontal motion is called as a wind. So this is the first definition of wind, that is very simple. The air when it moves in horizontal direction, that is called as a wind. Then another definition, that is horizontal flow of air is also called as a wind. Then the third definition of the wind, that is the air that moves parallel to any part of the earth's surface, that is called as a wind. That means when the air that moves parallel to the any object which are present on the earth's surface, that is called as a wind. So these are the different definitions of the wind. Then let us discuss about the various types of the wind. In that firstly we will discuss about the local wind. So what is a local wind, how these are created? So these local winds are those that are created as a result of scenery such as the mountains, vegetation, water bodies and so on. That means these local winds which are created due to the natural object on the earth's surface, as the various sceneries, it includes the different mountains, then vegetation, it includes the various types of the plant, then various water bodies. They are responsible for creating the local wind. They usually change very often, and the weather forecast people talk about this kind on the TV every day. That means this locally the people talk about this local wind every day, and that can be shown on the TV. Then they can move from mild to extreme wind in just hour. Then good example of the local wind are the sea breeze and the land breeze. Then again another example, that is the mountain and the valley breeze. Then local winds cover very short distances. These are the some of the characteristics regarding the local wind and how these local winds are created. We have discussed here. Then the next type of the wind, that is the global wind. So the global winds are really large air masses that are created mainly as a result of the earth rotation, the shape of the earth and the sun's heating power. So these global winds, they are mainly created due to the rotation of the earth. Then it also created due to the shape of the earth and the sun's heating power. So these are the some of the factors which are responsible for creating this global wind. Then the next important concept regarding this wind, that is the doldrum. So this doldrum is a very low pressure area along the equator where the prevailing winds are the calmest. Then these doldrums, which are the area which having the low pressure area along the equator, and that is known as the doldrum. Then this low pressure area is caused by the constant heating of the sun. Then the belt of the doldrum that extend about 5 degree north and south of the equator. So in simply the doldrum, that is an area where the very low pressure which is present at its center, and mainly it is occur along the equator, that is known as the doldrum. Then the next important definition, that is the tropical easterlies, or it is also known as the trade wind. So this tropical easterlies or the trade wind belt that extending as far as 30 degree north and 30 degrees south latitude of the intertropical convergence zone, that means it is also known as the ITCZ zone. So this tropical easterly zone that lies between 30° north and the 30° south latitude of the ITCZ. Then again the next important definition, that is the horse latitude. So what is a horse latitude? So this horse latitude is a wind belt that forms at about 30° north and south latitude between the trade wind and the prevailing westerlies, that is known as the horse latitude. Then after that we will discuss about the prevailing westerlies. So the prevailing westerlies is the belt that extending from 30° to 60° latitude from the intertropical convergence zone, that is known as the prevailing westerlies. Then next one, that is the polar easterlies. So this polar easterlies that covers from the 60° latitude to the north and the south pole, so that it is called as the polar easterlies. Then the next important definition, that is the air current. So this air current is a vertical or the nearly vertical movement of air resulting from the convection, turbulence or any other cause, that is called as a air current. That means in short, the air current is defined as the vertical movement of the wind, that is referred as a air current. Then after that the next important term regarding this wind, that is the isotech. So this isotech is defined as the line on a weather map that joining the places of the equal wind speed, that is known as the isotech. So here we have discussed some of the important terms which are related with this wind and the various types of the wind. After that we have to discuss here the classification of the wind. So the wind is mainly classified into the two types, that is first one is the vertical and the second one is the horizontal. Again the vertical wind, which is divided into the divergence, convergence, then eddies and the convection. Then after that the horizontal wind, which is divided into the again three types. In that first one is the periodic monsoon wind, second one is the regular planetary earth circulation system, and third type of the horizontal wind, that is the local wind. The example of the local wind are, first one is the land or the sea breeze, then mountain or the valley breeze, then next one that is the phone or the chinook wind, and last one is the tornado. So in short, this is regarding the classification of the wind, in which the wind is mainly classified into the two types as the vertical and the horizontal wind. Again the vertical wind, which also having the four types of the wind: divergence, convergence, eddies and the convection. And again in case of the horizontal wind, it is again divided into the three main types as periodic monsoon wind, regular planetary earth circulation system, and third one is the local wind. After that we will discuss about the importance or the role or the effects of wind in agriculture. So here we have know about the importance of wind in agriculture. Then the first importance of the wind is wind increases the transpiration and the intake of CO2. That means the rate of transpiration as well as the intake of CO2, that is increases when the wind velocity is more. Then second importance of the wind is the turbulence created by the wind that increases the CO2 supply and increase in the photosynthesis. Then the when wind is hot, then desiccation of the plant that will also takes place because of the humid air in the intercellular places, that is get replaced by the dry air. That means when there is the hot wind, that means the temperature of the air is more, and at that time the wind velocity is also more. At that time the desiccation of the plant that will also takes place, because whatever the humid air in the plant body that is present, and that is get replaced by the dry air, and in that condition the desiccation of the plant takes place. Then the next importance is the hot and dry wind makes the cells expanding and early maturity, it results in the dwarfing of the plant. Again, due to the presence of the hot and dry wind, due to that there is the cell expansion and early maturity of the plant, which is also takes place, and finally it results into the dwarfing of the plants. Then the next importance is the under the influence of the strong wind, the shoots are pressurized and the deformation of the shoot that will also takes place due to the presence of the wind. Then again, the strong wind that produces the lodging of the crop, that means if the strong wind which is present in any time, at that time the breaking of the branches which is also takes place, and finally the lodging of the crop which is takes place. Then the next importance is the strong wind affect the plant life both mechanically and physiologically. Then the coastal area affected by the strong wind that bring the salt and make the soil unsuitable for growing the plant. So these are the some of the effect which is caused due to the wind, and the wind also having an immense importance in agriculture for the growth, development and the yield of the crop. Then the next point we have to discuss here, that is the global pattern of the surface wind. That means there are various types of the surface winds are also present. In that, firstly we will discuss about the trade wind. So what is a trade wind we have to discuss here. The condition of greatest heating and expansion at the equator that causes the rising of air and creating the low pressure belt, that is known as the doldrum or equatorial low or the calm. So how these trade winds are created, as there is the greatest heating and the expansion of air which is takes place at the equator, and due to that there is the rising of air that creates the low pressure belt along the 5 degree north and 5 degree south latitude, and that is known as the doldrum or the equatorial low or the calm. The pressure of that area is very low, due to that it is called as a doldrum or equatorial low or the calm. Then the rising air from the equator that causes the increase in pressure at 35 degree north and 35 degree south latitude. Therefore the reduction in surface pressure on the equator and increase in the pressure at 35 degree north and 35 degree south, which is known as the subtropical high or the horse latitude. Then the wind flow from the horse latitude to the equatorial region that are called as a trade wind. So that is an actual definition of the trade wind. See again the definition. So the trade wind is the wind that flow from the horse latitude to the equatorial region, that is known as a trade wind. Then after that the second type of the wind, that is the westerlies or the anti-trade wind. So the wind that flow from the subtropical high, that means from the high pressure area to the low pressure area at about 60 degree to 70 degree latitude in both the hemisphere, that is known as the westerlies or the prevailing westerlies, or it is also known as the anti-trade wind. So what is the definition of this anti-trade wind? So it is the wind flow that from the subtropical high to the low pressure area at about 60 to 70 degree latitude in the both hemisphere, and that is known as the anti-trade wind, or it is also known as the prevailing westerlies or westerlies. Then these winds, instead of flowing in a straight line, are deflected due to the Coriolis force. That means these winds, they are not flowing in a straight line and they are deflected due to the force that is known as the Coriolis force. Then in northern hemisphere their direction is northwest, and in southern hemisphere it is a southwest. The winds are forceful and change their direction frequently. That means continuously they are not flowing in the straight line, as they change their direction time to time. Then in the southern hemisphere, 40 degree to 65 degree, the winds are violent and have the high frequency, creating the large noise. Therefore, the latitude is known as the roaring 40s. So, in short, this is regarding the westerlies, or it is also known as the anti-trade winds. Then next type of the wind, that is the polar wind, or it is also known as the polar easterlies. The high pressure area exists on the pole, which is intensify the extreme cold. Then therefore the wind flow from the polar high to the subpolar low pressure area about 60 degree to 65 degree latitude. Then the wind flow from northeast direction in northern hemisphere and southeast direction in the southern hemisphere. Then these polar winds is called as the this wind is called as a polar winds or the polar easterlies, and this wind consists of the cold air. So this is also one of the type of the global wind as the polar wind, or the it is also known as the polar easterlies. Then after that we have to in detail discuss about the local wind. And these local winds, they are created due to the local condition as a natural scenery. Therefore they having the influence over a very small area, and therefore these types of the wind are called as a local wind. In that first type of the local wind, that is the land and the sea breeze. So what is the definition of this land and the sea breeze? In which an interchange of air between the sea and the coastal land which takes place due to the unequal heating and cooling of water, and the land surface is known as the land and the sea breeze. So very simple definition of the land and sea breeze is here, that is an interchange of air between the sea and coastal land which takes place due to the unequal heating and the cooling of the water and the land surfaces is known as the land and the sea breeze. In which we have, let us discuss the concept in more detail as the land and the sea breeze, in which during the daytime the coastal land is heated very fast as compared to the sea water, and due to that it creates the low pressure over the land, and therefore the surface air that flow from the sea to land, that is known as the sea breeze. In tropics, the breeze may set at any time between the 8 am to 1 pm, and these winds are cold and bring the humidity with it. Then after that, therefore in case of the summer wind, they are refreshing one. Then in second condition, during the night time the land cools faster than the sea, and due to that it causes the high pressure over the land as compared to the sea, and due to that the air that flows from the land to sea, that is known as the land breeze. Always sea breeze that is stronger than land breeze, as the temperature difference is more during the daytime than in case of the night time. See here the two diagram that showing the land and the sea breeze, which is also shown in this picture. So this is the first type of the local wind as we have discussed here, that is the land and the sea breeze. Then after that we have to discuss here the mountain and the valley breeze. It is also known as the katabatic and the anabatic breeze. Generally this mountain and the valley breeze which are present in the hilly areas. An interchange of air between the mountain and valley, that is takes place due to the unequal heating and cooling, that is known as the mountain and the valley breeze. During the daytime, the slope of mountain that receives the direct sunlight, hence they are become hotter than other nearby places at the same height. Then the warm air along the slope that rises up to reach the neighboring area at about the same altitude but less exposed to the solar radiation, and due to that the ascending warm air that is called as a valley breeze, and the warm air may form a clouds around the peak that resulting into the afternoon shower. Then reversely at night time the slope will lose the energy much faster and becomes colder than the surrounding, and this chill air that descend downward, and that is known as the mountain breeze. So this second type of the local wind, that is the valley and the mountain breeze, which is also shown in the picture. Then after that the next type of the wind, that is the monsoon wind. So let us discuss regarding this monsoon wind, in which an interchange of air between the land and oceans that is takes place due to the unequal heating and the cooling of the continent and the ocean, that is known as the monsoon wind. Then it has an annual period of occurrence, that means at any time they can occur. The during summer the land is heated as compared to an ocean, which causes the low pressure over the land and the winds blow from ocean to the continent. Then during the winter the lands cool down faster than the ocean, and that causes the high pressure over the continent and the low pressure over oceans, and therefore the winds that blow from the continent to the ocean. Then the Indian monsoon is the best example of this alternate circulation system, and in short this is regarding the monsoon wind. Then after that next one, the phone and the chinook winds. So like the katabatic winds, they are down slope breezes, but instead of being a dry and cold like a katabatic, they are dry as well as the warm. So generally this phone and the chinook wind, these are dry and the warm instead of the cold and moist. Then they develop on a leeward side of the mountain range when the stable air is forced to flow over the barriers by the regional pressure gradient. Then the foehn winds are common in Alp in Europe, whereas the Chinook are common in rocky North America. So in this lecture number 4 we have discussed regarding the various definition of the winds. Then we have again discussed regarding the various types of the local wind and the global pattern of the wind. Thank you.